What's up, guys? Hope y'all had another good day. Today's day 3 of my YouTube channel. You know, I was thinking about the whole YouTube thing, and I think it's a good form of expression. I think it's a healthy, like, some people obviously do it for attention seeking, but I actually find some kind of peace from doing it. Anyways, I was thinking, what am I going to talk about today? And I've been kind of studying some things, sort of going down this whole like mystical rabbit hole and everything. But I thought it would be interesting if I just told you guys a couple stories from my own personal experience where I've experienced something that was like what I would consider supernatural. Okay. I mentioned that I was born in New Orleans, so as most people know, that New Orleans is kind of like a hot spot for witchcraft and that sort of deal. And, well, they're not wrong. It's really voodoo. But anyways, every summer and winter I used to go to New Orleans because, like I said, that's where I was born. My mother's side of the family lives there. So every Christmas and summer I would go to New Orleans. And this one particular winter, this Christmas break, it was, I was probably 11 or 12 years old. So we're talking, 2007, 2008 or something like that. Anyways, me and my brothers, we had just watched a Harry Potter movie. And for some reason in my little adolescent mind, I was like, I want to do that. And so me and my brothers, we were sitting in the room after we had all watched the movie in the living room, and now we were all in the side room. And I have two brothers. One was sitting on the bed and the other one was sitting on the floor. And I said, I'm gonna turn the lights off. And I think they kind of snickered like, haha. And so I pulled the top of a picture frame off, and it was just like a skinny black piece of plastic that I called my wand. And I don't know if you guys ever watched Harry Potter, but in Harry Potter there's a levitation spell called Wingardium Leviosa. And in my adolescent mind, just out of my intent was to turn off the lights. I said, guys, I'm turning the lights off. Grabbed this black wand, and I looked at the lights. I said, Wingardium Leviosa. And I flicked my little wand, and honest to God on everything, the lights, we were sitting in the dark. And I said it again, Wingardium Leviosa. And the lights were back on. And nobody moved a muscle. Everybody was sitting right where they were. You know, I've told people about it. Maybe somebody was outside and flipped the circuit. Really? Anyways, I still can't explain it. The only thing I can think, like, in the Bible, it says to believe as a child, you know. And in my adolescent mind, I really believed I was going to turn those lights off. Now that I'm a Christian, I'm not going to say go out and practice witchcraft and practice these, but I just think it's important. At the time, in my adolescent mind, yeah, I was practicing witchcraft because I just watched Harry Potter, but it was more about the power of intent, I believe. Like, I didn't have this artificial construct that I couldn't do it, you know. I believed I could, and sure as everything, you can ask both my brothers, it happened. Okay. And so that happened, and that kind of, I've always carried that with me as an adult, like, what was that? But put it in the back, you know. A second little supernatural thing. I will say, one time I was skateboarding on the road and I almost got hit by a car. I had my headphones in and I had literally turned, and this car was half an inch away from me. It would have easily killed me. And I kind of, at that moment, my first thought was, I think God just saved me, because I was so close to death and I didn't even realize it. That's not what I was going to say, but that's also another one where I'm like, I think God was looking out for me. But this other one was, so I have an ex-girlfriend who she ended up unaliving herself, you know, and it really messed me up. And I had went down this real bad drinking bender, I guess you could say. And through the depression and alcohol and everything, I had lost the ability to sleep. I couldn't sleep no matter what I did. The only way I could sleep is if I would be up for 3 or 4 days. And mind you, I've never done methamphetamine a day in my life. So, but I would be up for 3 or 4 days. And the only way I could fall asleep is if my body would just shut down. But as soon as something would wake me up, it didn't matter if I was asleep for 15 minutes, an hour. As soon as something would startle me, I was back up for another 3, 4 days. And I would try to go to sleep. I would lay there in bed and try to sleep. And I couldn't. And that was a really dark time. But this one specific night, my girlfriend, she was sleeping like an angel next to me. And I was not sleeping a wink. And I remember I'm like 3, 4 days now, no sleep. And I finally fell asleep. Barely. And the weird thing was I immediately went into a dream state. And so, which we could say maybe I'm lucid dreaming because I was like conscious. But as soon as I fell asleep, I went into this dream. And in my dream, I was walking up. It was all like concrete, and it was sort of like a canopy sort of deal. I can't remember exactly. I just know there was a walkway, concrete, and there was this black figure. I say black, it was just dark. It was the absence of color. There was no color to it. But it was a figure. It looked like it had human characteristics. And in my dream state mind, I was curious. And I'm walking up on this creature, and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, and it's so dark that I can't make anything out. And I just get closer and closer and closer. And as soon as I was about an inch from this figure's face, me and its eyes just locked. And all I seen was white eyes. And basically, as soon as my eyes locked with this thing, it was like my feet fell out from under me in my dream. And I felt like I fell through a tunnel. And then I fell into my body. And I remember just jumping up in bed. Whoa! Woke my girlfriend up. She's like, what? I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I was like, she already knew I was having trouble. I mean, she knew I was having issues and everything. But I'm just like, I thought I was losing my mind. And, you know, I thought about it it's been a couple years now since that happened. But some people say that was your shadow. At the time, I thought it was the devil. I was like, I think I meant the devil. You know, I didn't know what it was. But to me, it felt very spiritual. And I've been trying to kind of dissect that and what it could have meant. But no, I think the spiritual is real. It's not all. There's a lot more to this world than we really realize, you know. And I'm trying to understand it myself. But if anybody has any comments or anything, like I said, I'm enjoying this form of expression. You know, even if we don't connect on every issue, and even some things I may misquote, or, you know, honestly, my brain is an encyclopedia of randomness, just randomness. Some important, some not. And so to be able to be 100% accurate all the time it's like it's like a library where I have to go access these files. And if I don't prepare I just do this stuff off a whim. I'm not like preparing or nothing. You know, so have some grace with me if I say anything out of line, or that's not, you know, like I said, I'm just expressing myself here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you don't, that's okay too, you know, because it is what it is. But no, hey, God loves you. I love you. And y'all have a good one, all right?